Okay, so this slide shows in some display that what I just showed you with the list indexes approach, where it's JSON, standard JSON. You can parse it with any, including the Lotus script JSON navigator. It goes through. You can read the elements out and process them as you will. Present them to any web UI, whatever you want to do with them. But the idea is that you have every index, including views. So index name is the view name, and this will handle existing views as well. So if you have existing views, you can see what's available to you from DQL standpoint by running this and look at it. Column F, as I mentioned, is if you code up the quote, single quote, view name, single quote, dot column, that's what column F is. A field ref says, I want to use the field name exactly. So if those are false, you cannot use them for that usage in DQL. They're not useful DQL. So in this case, you can use a list category as a column ref. So this is groups by category dot list category. You can say equals value. You can do that, but you could not say the column name list category just as a field. Okay, so that shows you what's out there. And groups by category in the fake NSF. So this is names fake. You actually have this is the NAB, right? This is the pub names NSF. So this shows you one of those views actually showing up as an index. Okay. All right. The third thing we did, the third big thing, we did a lot of little things. I don't have time to go into all the little things. But the third big thing we did in Domino 11 was to speed up view traversal. You may know that the notes indexing facility, I just wrote a blog on a little while ago, was really born and forged to give the inbox its traversal capabilities. Well, with DQL, we introduced a whole different kind of traversal. That is, we're not just populating your inbox as you scroll down and work through it as you traverse it that way. We're walking lots of entries. So it wasn't necessarily that fast for this, and we sped it up greatly by using a method that was already in place for updating called hold pins. And hold pins basically says I want to lock a page at a time versus an entry at a time. So for NIF, this is large. These are real values against my 2 million document database. The red is good, the blue is bad. Blue is before, red is after. And you can see, I mean, this is what we're trying to do here is to get queries from DQL into the human think space, so that you don't want to wait. In this case, I have some that take 30 seconds. A lot of people don't want to wait that long. In fact, 10 seconds is too long. Whatever your SLA is, you can come back with it. But this is, you can see we made great strides. Some of these things went from being not useful to useful, or much faster. So this is what we're looking at. And for all of the view entry traversal, it's used here. And this page pinning protocol was used during rebuild forever. It's nothing new here. We're just putting it into new use. So that was a measurable speed up. Okay, now we're going to talk about version 11.01 and version 12. I don't really have a content statement about 11.01. We just talked about. I just got wind of when is going to get done, and the answer is first quarter 2020. But we don't necessarily know what's in it yet. So I'm not going to say much about what goes into what bucket, just to say that we're moving aggressively, as we always have with DQL. Okay, so our goal here is to come up with a central way to process sets of documents. That really is what DQL has provided. We're giving people a way of using each of and every document search capability that's in Domino in one terse, powerful, simple syntax. That's the whole idea here. We're going to incorporate. We're not going to duplicate. So this stuff's sitting here. I made the point several times that really what we've exposed into the APIs of Domino is probably about 60% of what's available. Well, we're trying to get closer to 90, and there's a lot. You can see what's out there, and there's a lot already. So really, what we're trying to make sure is you have the best of Domino at your fingertips, at your programming disposal, if you will, and really giving you Domino core capabilities in the languages that you're used to using them. What you get, in that case, is speed. And the idea is that we want to minimize human wait time. This is the, we don't want to wait for views to be refreshed. We don't want to wait, for whatever's going on. The human's time is the gold here, and we get this. We also want to give you breakthrough functionality, hard to do processing capabilities. You write thousands of lines of code to do what we give in one query term, for instance, or the anding with those things. And we want to give you the ability to present, okay, either through an external API or using the Domino client, which is the future of which is Nomad and WebAssembly. You might have seen those things. If you don't know what those are, you should bone up on where that's all going. And with the savings, okay? We don't want to cost you more. That discussion we had about views is key. I'm worried about that, okay? But the trick with that one is how do we give you the speed and the functionality and the power without some kind of consumption there? It's the trick, right? That's not easy to solve, yet it is a concern. And overall, we want to be able to go faster and cheaper and better all the time. So I've made this statement. I'll continue to make it, that DQL particularly will only get faster, and it is faster now. It's going to get faster still. Okay. And the kind of things we want to enable, I think this is bread and butter. The business flow abilities integrated with inside of DQL. We want to give you event processing. This is all the rage. The event orientation. Can we in fact write agents that figure out complex events in the server and report on them? Yes, we can, is the answer to that. Reporting is an obvious one, which we will, as you see, the capabilities I'm going to talk about will greatly hit our ability to report. We want to be able to abstract, federate, and combine. We don't really do this right now in Domino. You can do it, but it's up to you to do it. This is not just joining, so that I want to make sure I talk about join in the broadest sense, where we're saying, the word is combine, okay, and joining is part of that, and it's a very important part of it, but it's only part of it. And the last one is ad hoc requests. The earliest demos I've done of DQL showed that, yeah, there's a complex query capability that you can't do without it, really. It's very hard to take a 10-term query and just put it together running Java or Lotus script. So DQL gives you that. Okay.
Hey, John, your second last bullet there, like I think you went over that pretty quick, and people might not adequately appreciate the magnitude of it. So, to date, this is huge.
Okay. Yeah. So the ability to abstract Domino data, we do give you some of that with view subtotals, a bit of that, but it's not ad hoc and it's not robust enough. So the idea is that people have Domino data, partitioned all kinds of ways. Every time I talk to people, something new. Oh, you do that, and the idea is that we need a way, and a powerful way, to combine all those designs, all that data, in a central query. I want to write a query. In fact, I want to keep a query that does that pulls it all together, so I can report on things. There's lots of different, like I say, the way people partition data. In a way, this is kind of sharding by query, if you will. But pulling it all together and making that is a new thing. We don't do that in Domino now. We're going to teach. We do have some wonderful tools to do it. That's the good news. Is there's some great tools that have been around forever. You've used them forever, that we're going to press into service here. But the ability to keep these things around, to be able to say these things. Now, people will say, well, we've done this in SQL for 30 years. Yes, but you've not dealt with no SQL data like we have. The Domino data model, there's a reason that it's powerful and useful. It's because data does not fit into rectangles. Okay, there's a whole bunch of discussion about NoSQL and SQL that I'm not really going to get into now. But the idea is that we have this legacy of unstructured data that we're adding structure to. That's really what this is. So it's very powerful, and you'll see as I go through the slides here what that all means. Okay. So and that lends right into the slide. So we're going to leverage formula language. Okay, we want to say you've taken all this time to write formulas and form fields. I want to be able to use those by name to be able to pull things out. And this is, by the way, this slide has to do with the single database query language, but the same things will port to joining and all the other abstractions. So the idea to be able to pull out that formula that you've taken time to code, and whatever it does to match that to some value is extremely powerful. Again, this exists. You've done it. Field level operators is really a statement of, I want to be able to ask questions about the data type, the length, is it present, those kind of things about an individual field. The next one is really DQL. This is bigger than a single database, but DQL stats are just like Domino stats. I want to see how my queries are doing, break it down into view searching and NSF searching to see where I'm spending my time globally, and so that's coming. We want to be able to produce some function plugins. Two of them we're talking about right now. And by the way, this part of the talk, as I said, is somewhat conceptual, somewhat principled. Every day you get some definition, but it is very much, this is kind of a principle we're going to approach here. The first one is a call-out plugin that says, okay, I have some special processing. Every document you process, call my function. I'll return some values. I'll let you know, probably -1, 0, or 1 for comparator to the value you passed me, or I'll be able to do this. This does a document at a time call. The next one is taking basically the entire pass me your results so far, and I'll let you know what's left. They're basically saying in my function, I'm going to do this. So very powerful exits. Domino's always provided this, and this is just taking tradition forward of the ability to do these things. A lot of people have asked for, they're really good programmers. I want to leverage some of the programming prowess we have in our business partners and customer base. So that's the idea here. We'll just do that going forward. Okay, so people will code their own. There's going to be some, and this is on a larger case, a ambitious expansion of the requirements. So as the language grows, and this is really a design point, we haven't really arrived at everything here. Is everything going to be a clause in the language, or will we give you different parameters on calls? The jury's out. So I haven't got an answer on that one. But the idea is if we put this into the language, whatever we do, it's going to make the base functionality much broader and much more powerful. So that as the clause, if we have clauses, then yes, the clause sequence will define the flow of processing. Flow is big going forward, as you'll see, and the idea of the query bus coming forward. Flow is very, very important to our approach here. The client-server DQL, right now, you cannot call DQL from client to server. We're going to fix it. In fact, I have code I'm developing as we speak. Well, not as we speak, but I will later on work on it today. That will do just that. And the CAPI calls will be published and supported. New classes are coming with new properties in LotusScript and Java and DominoDB, all three of those venues, to do things along with the CAPI. So, the point is we're not stopping here. And, really, I don't want to spill too many beans here, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Okay, that's the basic statement.